Okay, VJ, yesterday we made a video about why all the 17th century homes in Salem, Massachusetts are black, and we have a lot of frequently asked follow-up questions. A lot of FAQs, if you will. The first thing people were curious about is you said in the 1800s they started refixing up the home and there was a risk that the wood would rot. How come that wood, that new wood, was at risk of rotting when the original wood wasn't?
So that's because ultimately when they're adding the new wood of the 1800s is not as good as the old wood of the 1600s. The 1600s wood are cut from old growth trees that were in many cases some of the first trees seen by the settlers and allowed to grow under the Native Americans for hundreds of years. So it's very strong and dense, preventing water from ultimately able to penetrate and get in. But the wood of the 1800s, a lot of that old wood has been cut down already. So it's very sort of, I guess, weak and a little bit more porous, where a protective coating like paint would be needed to give it that longevity that they're desiring.
Is there any truth to the color being about heat retention? And a lot of people were asking, did they ever treat the wood with oil, and did the oil make the wood look black?
As far as heat retention is concerned, maybe, but also maybe not, because we have to consider heat retention in the winter is fantastic, but you don't want that heat to be retained in the summertime when essentially the black siding at that point is getting baked by the sun. So that's likely not the main reason it was, turned naturally black, or at least encouraged to do so. Now, as far as the oil or coatings are concerned, that's another sort of maybe answer. There's no sort of one definitive answer as to why the houses had turned black. It's just from the natural aging, not likely from oil. Also because the oil that they're using are usually going to, say, shipbuilding or anything marine related. Now, it's not to say, of course, though, that some of those shipbuilders, like the owner of the Daniels house, Stephen Daniel was a shipbuilder, might have used some of that oil on his home to sort of give some added weather protection against it.
This renovation, you said it happened in early, mid, late 1800s. What did you mean by that?
So when it comes to architectural style, there were many that were developed in the 1800s, as that's right around where you get the start of the Industrial Revolution and the beginning of the Victorian age. So the early 1800s, you have the Federal style, which is one of the first early American architectural styles. Then you have Greek Revival. Then you have the start of the Victorian styles with Gothic Revival, Italianate, Second Empire, and then it just goes all the way through up until the late 1800s. So this whole era really has many individual styles that people wanted to impart on their own homes, especially to update it to those current looks of the day.
This last question was very frequently asked, including my own mom, wants to know, where did you get your shirt?
So the shirt is called a blanket shirt. I think now it's called a woolen shirt. There's a historical reenactors website called Samson, and as well Townsend's. Townsend specifically is the one where you can get this. It's incredibly comfortable and weather resistant. I absolutely love it.
Nice. You want to do a spin? Whoa. Thanks.